Hello, my name's Loretta, and I'm 77 years old. That's right, 77, and I'm a fan of the booth. Sinister One, Keith Hayes. That's right, my favorite. He's like a adorable Sammy Davis Jr., but for the new age kids. And everybody that loves sports, because I love all that New England sports. The Boston Celtics, the New England Patriots. I don't even give a damn about the Jets or the Giants.
Actually enjoy treating your customers like a piece of shit, because that's how I felt when I went to the Alamo Draft House. Okay? You know what? I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to text in your little crappy-ass theater. It was too f***ing dark in that place for me to find my seat, alright? I was using my phone as a flashlight to get to my f***ing seat. So excuse me for using my phone in USA, United States of America, where you are free to text in a theater. I was not aware that I couldn't text in your theater, all right? I've texted in all the other theaters in Austin, and no one ever gave a fuck about what I was doing on my fucking phone, all right? And it was on silent. It wasn't on loud. It wasn't bothering anybody. You guys obviously were being assholes to me. And I'm sure that's what you do, you know, to rip people off. You take my money, and then you throw me out. You know, I will never be coming back to your Alamo Draft House or whatever. I'd rather go to a regular theater where people are actually polite. And, you know, I'm going to tell everyone about how you are. And I'm pretty sure you guys are being assholes on purpose. So thanks for making me feel like a customer. Thanks for taking my money.
Dead ass. Serious. I would hate me too. Look at me. Think he the shit. This nigga don't even crease his Air Forces. What the f? Shut the fuck up. You lying.
Citizens of America. People of the Florida Alliance.
You gotta move!
And the Western forces of Texas and California will be welcomed back to these United States as soon as their illegal secessionist government is deposed.
You don't know what side they're fighting for.
Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
What's going on, everybody? You already know who it is. It's your girl, Remy Jones. I have a special announcement. May 18th, 2024, we are going to be at the PPAC for the Remy TV Influencer Awards Show. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have local talent performing. We're going to have celebrities performing. We're going to have amazing presenters. And all proceeds are going to go towards a job training program. So this is a charity award show. And if you want to know how you can help, if you want to donate, if you want to sponsor, you could directly reach me at www.remytvmedia.com.
So many times I played the fool, man, he'll be low. I'm too fly to be sitting here lonely, feeling for the ride, wanna put it on me. Pittsburgh. When you get inside and when I grind it, I can't deny it, feels so exciting, deeper. Is no restart.
If we're honest, who wants to road less travel? It's harder to teach us. Who wants the difficult route?
If you support safety in our schools, you will support the National Guard to come in here and keep our students safe.
People say, these students have changed. These students are lazy.
Your children aren't learning disability, they lazy.
Get students engaged so they don't want to skip classes, they want to be in their classrooms.
There are teachers in this profession who should not be teachers. There are teachers in this profession who don't care about children.
These students don't want to learn. No, the adults have changed. See, the parents don't have the back of the teachers.
He ain't slow. He ain't got no learning problem. His parents didn't give him a foundation.
Young people as a nation, we sorely need the depth and breadth of your intelligence, character, and also your clarity.
Think about, in particular, the history of people that look like me who are getting cheated.
So if you're asking me right now as an educator, what's wrong with these kids? There's nothing wrong with them.
Teachers are the most important people in the world.
They're whimpering in fear, and we're sitting here scared of them.
Because if they get it right, they'll change the world because they're in charge of the most important resource, and that's our children.
I didn't shoot no deputy. Oh no, oh. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot no deputy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah.
Oscar Mike Radio is a proud podcast partner of Reach Across America Radio, heard every Thursday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. They're also big supporters of the nonprofit I Got Your Six, Two Lives at Once. And with every wreath you sponsor through Oscar Mike Radio, $5 goes back to this great organization dedicated to making a difference in the lives of veterans, law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders battling PTSD. Two Lives at Once pairs these brave men and women together with dogs rescued from kill shelters. In this way, two lives are saved at the same time by saving each other. Donate now. Go to wreathsacrossamerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio to help. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio.
Hi, my name is Al. I am a father and I have 2 kids. I also ride a motorcycle, so please check twice. Save a life. Motorcycles are everywhere.
For more information on sharing the road, visit mass.gov/R.
Master Yoda I am. And listen you must to HulaZoo.com.
Let's see now. As I understand it, I got 1 share for being 1 person, 1 share for going down the hill, 1 share for the truck, and 1 share for being a person in the truck. But no matter how you figure it out, I still don't get as much as anybody else.
Look, let me explain it once more. You see, their group, those 3 of them, they get 112,000, right? Those over there, them, they get 97,000. Us, we get 84,000. And you, by yourself, you get $56,000 alone. And that's tax-free money.
What do you mean, tax-free?
Well, I mean, if we go down to this park and we uncover the money and we have it, I mean, I'm sure he's not going to declare anything. I know he's not going to declare anything. And I'm not going to, declare.
What are you talking about, declare it?
Well, I mean, it's like non-taxable income. It's like a gift.
But sure, if we find the money, we still have to report the taxes. Otherwise, it's like stealing from the government.
Oh, brother, look, can you explain it to him, please?
Me? Well, don't you see, if we find the money, there may not be any taxes to pay on it, just because we did find the money. But what he was trying to say is...
Listen, everybody has to pay taxes. Even businessmen that rob and steal and cheat from people every day. Even they have to pay taxes.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah.
Can you dig it? You like some motherfucking action heroes in it. Yeah.
This is destiny. This is madness. This is the proof.
Step into the twisted mind of my literature, designed to get into the depths of your mind, administer sickness around to mimic the likes of snuff cinema. What you must get into, you're nothing but pups. Remember you Homer and Happy Simpson, son. Nothing Ithaca. Stalkers like the northern half of Korea's peninsula. ESP your island like the booth, something sinister. ESP your island like the booth, something sinister. ESP your island like the booth, something sinister.
All right, it's your boy Sinners One broadcasting live from the City of Champions. You are watching The Booth. It is April 16th, as you saw the clip right there from It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Old movie, 1963, but a classic. Everybody's going to pay their taxes. Tax week. Tomorrow's the last day, because Monday, well, actually, it's over for everybody as of Monday, but here in Massachusetts, it was a holiday, Patriots Day. So we were able to get that extra extension on getting our stuff done for taxes. Everybody out there in the chat, man, the chat is already loaded. Usually I talk to my guests first, but the chat is coming through. All you people out here, Doug, what's up? Travis, what's up? Travis Proddington, Oscar Mike Radio. Doug, check out Homeland Heroes Podcast, Salute Podcast, Food Bar Studios. Also, I got my man Joshua, Modern Thinkers Reeves, all the way from Liberia, West Africa. Come on, son. Come on, son. So before I get into my sponsors, in the my boy William Atwood, grew up with William Atwood. He's here every week. He's here again. So thank you, everybody in the upper left-hand corner. Before I get into my sponsors, you know this man. He's a Booth alum. He's been on this show many, many times. I'm just going to let him introduce. Actually, I kept a couple of his commercials as those funny pre-clips you see, the Mr. Goodbar ads are funny as hell. And I envy this guy for a reason. And we'll get into why I envy him so much. I'm going to let my man introduce himself.
What's up? It's your man, Kenyon Glover, back in the booth. Man, I'm so excited, man. It's been a while, man. I think the last time I was in the booth was sometime last year, if I'm not mistaken, man. So it's been a while since we've been on the booth together, man. So thank you for having me back. I'm excited, man. I got to keep up with your energy, man, because your energy be crazy, man. So I got to keep up, bro. I got to keep up, brother.
I got it. And my sponsors, Michael Douglas Barretto, MDB Electronics. And I'm going to get into this gaming thing with my man up here in a minute. But MDB Electronics, if you need your controller fixed, your Xbox controller, get it back to gaming in 24 or 48 hours. My artist, Viana Marie, her music is streaming everywhere. 494,000 streams. Let's push it up. Viana Marie is nominated for Best Hip Hop Female Artist at the Remy TV Awards this May. Please make sure to show your support. My artist wants to lock down that Best Female Hip Hop Artist. Also, here's a funny story. Tactical target system. That's where I get my zombie targets. Well, the Massachusetts law has changed. You can no longer have targets bigger than 12 by 18 at the range. So I'm going to have to reach out to my guy and see if I can get my targets no bigger than 12 by 18. And here's the thing. They said that they changed this because they feel like there's this and there's that. Look, all you're doing is making people better shooters. If you're making smaller targets and people have to hit smaller targets, they're just going to become better shooters. I don't know the thinking sometime when it comes to these gun safety people. But I love BostonSports.com. You get a chance to win a shirt in the chat. Also, Kimberly Ann Empowerment Photography. Ladies, want to take those photos for your man that you never thought you would feel comfortable taking? Reach out to Kimberly Ann Empowerment Photography. Also, Underwatch Protective Services, Mobile Patrol, Foot Patrol, Armed Guards, Unarmed Guards, Event Security, and Private Security. Check out Daryl Smith, CEO, and the Deputy Chief, I got to mention, is no longer with Underwatch Protective Services, and we will be having an updated banner and ad as of next week. Reach out again to Daryl Smith on Underwatch Protective Services. And before I get into the news booth, I got my first guest up here. And the reason why I said I got an issue with this man, because this man did some stuff. He's been in movies. He's on here to talk about Cheaper the Keeper, too. He's talking about his album. But this man, if you all are gamers, if you all are hardcore, super gamers, and you're looking at this man and saying, man, I seen this dude somewhere. Where did I see this dude from? I know I seen this dude somewhere. I'm a gamer, but let him know. I envy you because I've always wanted to be in some video games, man. You were in one of the biggest video games out there.
Yeah, I was in a couple. I was in Twisted Metal and Mass Effect. So if you played the video game Twisted Metal or Mass Effect, I was in both of those games. You probably didn't notice me in Twisted Metal because of all the makeup and stuff, but I was Mr. Grimm in Twisted Metal. So I was the one with the dreads and the white face, and I was the crazy deranged guy in Twisted Metal. In Mass Effect, they had my character pretty much look just like me. I think the character name was Jacob Taylor in Mass Effect. So
I know Travis Proddington's in the chat. I know a couple of people that are probably like, Mass Effect? Oh, dude, there's a Twisted Metal TV show right now. Wouldn't it be great if that character was... Oh, my goodness. Oh, I'm praying for you. That would be awesome, man. That'd be great because they are bringing a lot of people and stuff from that game into the show. So that would be great to see that it's been renewed for a second season. So, whew, be great, man. What? Real quick before we get into this
Man, I hope
interview.
so. That would be kind of dope, man. That would be kind of dope, man. If they brought me in. I remember, you know what? I remember while I was in the video game, I remember telling them, y'all should create a TV show, and if y'all create this TV show, you have to cast me. So please. So now it's funny to see that they actually have a TV show now. So you're right. They need to cast me for that, for real.
Right. See, if I was you, I'd be contacting them. Hey, remember that day I was doing the game and I had the balls on and was doing all the mocap?
Right. Exactly.
Oh man!
Matter of fact, I'm gonna reach out to them and send them a video clip of the Twisted Metal video game. Say, yo, here I am.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be great. That'd be great. You could be on that show with Papa Doc, as we all know. Papa Doc is in there, my man. But this is good stuff. We got you on here, and we're on here to talk about this album. Let's talk about the movie first. That's now on Tubi. Cheaper to Keeper, which came out back in like 2017, 2018, but now it's been released to Tubi. So a lot of people, they miss a lot of DVDs, they miss a lot of movies in the movie theaters, and then now these movies sometimes hit these streaming sites and then they blow up. All of a sudden people are like, oh my God, what this, did you see this movie? And a lot of people like that know, like, oh, this isn't a new movie, but it's hitting a streaming site and now it's blowing up because people take time and watch these movies. Tell us a little bit about this Cheaper to Keeper. The trailer is funny. I saw the trailer. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, Cheaper to Keeper, man. When I was cast for this project, it was with I just met this guy, Courtney McGriff, which is the lead actor in there. Real funny guy, real funny comedian. I was actually talking to Courtney yesterday. And I didn't, you know, at first I wasn't really digging the script. When I first read it, I wasn't really feeling the script. And then I had to read it maybe a few times to really kind of get the gist of the story. And I was like, yo, I'm on board, man. Count me in. So it's a comedy kind of drama. And the ending kind of takes everybody by surprise. Nobody is expecting the ending the way it comes about. So everybody's like, yo, I didn't see that ending coming. So it's a very surprise ending. So everybody, you got to check it out. I'm not going to spoil it for you. So go check it out, Tubi. It's on Amazon Prime as well. It's on a lot of different streaming platforms, Cheaper to Keeper. And I play one of the lead characters. It's a very, very funny movie. Courtney McGriff is one of the funniest dudes I've ever acted with. It was very hard playing alongside Courtney, being in the same scene with Courtney because I kept laughing. And I had to do different takes because he kept making me laugh. And I kept messing the scene up because I'm like, dude, you got to stop being so funny, bro. I can't get through this scene. But I finally was able to get through the scenes, man. I was having so much fun on this movie, man. Some great, great actors and actresses in this movie, man. You guys are going to love it. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. Cheaper to Keeper. Spelled with a 2. Cheaper, the number 2, Keeper. So streaming on all platforms right now.
And get on that. And then we were talking, and I was kind of pissed because it didn't come up on my algorithm. And you're on here because you dropped an album back in February. And I gotta go, and I'm gonna have to hunt this down and check it out and get some of these tracks. But what you've been doing everything, minister, you've been doing films, motivational speaker, you've been doing all this stuff. What made you want to delve into the music and start and do an album?
Well, you know what? A friend of mine brought it to my attention. A friend of mine, he's a music producer, so he makes beats and stuff like that. So he approached me one day. He was like, yo, I had a vision for you, man. He's like, God gave me a vision to do an album with you, and you just do your motivational speaking thing, and I'll just add the music to it. And I was like, oh, okay, sounds kind of dope. So I was like, what do you need me to do? So he was like, just speak. Just do a motivational speak. Figure out what topic you want to talk about. And, we could do about 5, 6, 7 tracks. And I was like, cool. So I just started working on my speeches, and I just came up with different topics that I wanted to speak about on each different track. And I just did my speech. I just recorded me speaking on a regular, like I'm doing motivational speaking at anywhere. And I just did my speeches, and he just like, yo, send it to me. Let me see what you got. And he sent it back to me, and he added like some beats to it. And I was like, yo, this is powerful, man. I never would have pictured anything like this for myself, to really create this kind of album. It's a spoken word album. I'm not singing or anything like that. People are like, yo, you sing now? Like, no, I don't have that talent. God didn't bless me with that talent. But man, this album has been such a blessing for me because so many people are coming away feeling empowered, man. They're feeling motivated and encouraged. The name of the album is Rise, R-I-S-E, and it means to remember, inspire someone every day. So Rise stands for remember, inspire someone every day. So the purpose of this album, man, is just to keep people inspired, to keep people motivated and uplifted, because we're living in such dark times right now where people are so depressed and people are so just feeling defeated. So I hope this album Rise just will bring you that encouragement that you need. So that's why I decided to do this album and put it out there. And it's been getting such great reviews, man. It's been getting such great feedback. And I'm thinking about doing a second album already. So, I'm like, let's keep this going, man. Let's keep this movement going. So I'm proud to say I have an album out there.
Let's be real. I have a love-hate relationship with TikTok and Snapchat and things of that sort. I feel like social media has really brought motivational speaking to the forefront. I think that's the good side of some social media. There's a lot of motivational speakers like yourself and others out there who are getting known for what they're doing and putting their stuff out there on social media. People are more apt to watch a motivational speaker within their home on their phone versus going out in public and having other people possibly see you going to see this and assuming that you might, you know what I'm saying? I feel like motivational speakers, whether good or bad, there's some motivational speakers out there I can't stand and disagree with, but they're still reaching a group of people, still reaching people who may not have ever checked them out or followed them. But the power of this right here is
absolutely
is crazy. And you just said it kind of yourself. You said, that the response from people and the response you've gotten from this has been very positive.
Yeah, I mean, the response has been very positive, man. So you can actually, when you go to like TikTok or Instagram or whatever the case may be, and you put in my name, you know how you can add music to your posts, whatever you're posting on TikTok or Instagram, you can find my album, and choose one of my tracks to go along with your post. So whatever you're posting, if you search Kenyon Glover Rise, it comes up and you can choose one of my tracks, to add to your post. So to see that, man, is so freaking cool, man, to see that people can actually use my, one of my tracks or my album, to add to their posts, and it gives you that extra inspiration and whatnot. So, I mean, I think I wore it out when I was posting. I was using it so much of everything that I posted. Every post was like my own stuff that I'm using when I'm posting. So, I got tired of using my own stuff. I'm like, okay, people gonna get tired of just hearing me all the time post my own stuff. So, it's kind of cool though to see that, man.
I like that because sometimes when you see these motivational speakers and the audios, like you say, that you put out, sometimes you can't find the words to post your feelings for the day.
Right.
And then sometimes you can find that person like yours or someone else's that, damn, they nailed it. Okay. Let me just share that let me just share that little tidbit right there. I'm actually involved with a guest who was on here last week who I got to thank for coming on here, Kevin Jefferies of Happy Hour with Lito. Kevin Jefferies actually hosts a black men's group that's private. It's every Thursday night at 8:00 over Zoom. And he talks, it's a safe place for black men, celebrities and things of that sort to come in, talk. Nothing is recorded. Everybody respects everyone. It doesn't leave and tell people stuff because it's a safe space. And we've had some real strong stories from black men in this group who are dealing with, I would say, hundreds of issues that a lot of black men would never talk about amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? One of the things we talked about here on the show last week, we had Levi on. Levi is white, and as we were saying, is with Lee is like, you know, the first thing before people try to come on and cancel us and say, oh, you got a group just for black men, it's all inclusive, it's not. No. These are things we talk about that affect black men, and one of the things is mental health. Because as you know, in the black community, a black man who's mentally, you know, in fact, if you have an issue with mental health, you know, we never confirm it as mental health. It's always, oh, that crazy Joe, or you know how it is in the black community. We never address the issue. You know, like, and like I said to Levi, it says white people, they get the mental health issues taken care of. They go to the psychiatrist, they go to the therapist. Black dudes, we don't. It's a black community problem. Guys hold it all. And what you see is guys will hold it all in, and then they blow up and let it out, and then they end up being labeled that's the bad guy, or he puts his hand, or that guy puts his hands on his wife after 8 months of keeping it in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that domestic abuse is this is a way to write off, but it isn't. But there are some situations where there are guys who they keep it in, and then boom. You know, it comes out, and it comes out in the wrong way, the wrong manner, and this is what happens. So we try to create this group so black men can come in and discuss their issues in a private session, but it's very open. I'm not gonna lie, there's been some tears amongst black men in this group. There's been tears, and I'm not gonna. And I want to say that because that's strong.
It is strong
to have a place where black men can be and shed a tear and not be held, you know what I'm saying, not be scrutinized or be called a clown, or you know what I'm saying, you know. It's a great group. So and you're big on that. Some of the stuff you do, even though you're a motivational speaker, you've done this album, motivational speaker, acting. When you first came on the booth, the whole reason why you came on was because of you were acknowledging mental health. So I'd like you to talk about you know, what you've gone through and things that you've done, trying to be awareness of mental health issues.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, I've shared with you on the booth for plenty of times. For years now, I think we've been connected. I've came on and shared my battle with mental health, major depression. I've tried to commit suicide on numerous attempts, for 4 different times, 4 different suicide attempts. And I've been in that sunken place, man, that place of darkness where you see no way out. You know, I didn't want to live anymore, you know, because dealing with so many different life's issues and, you know, the trials and tribulations of life that throw, you know, that get thrown at you constantly. And sometimes you don't know how to handle it. Sometimes you are scared to speak about it because you don't want to be judged. You don't want to be put into this box or this category and labeled as crazy. And I think that's the problem with so many black men, as we say, in the communities, that they don't want to share because they don't want to be labeled as weak. They don't want to be labeled as crazy. They don't want to be labeled as, you know, oh, you're just depressed. You'll be okay. Just go sleep it off or whatever the case may be, man. But this is a serious issue, you know, dealing with depression and mental health. It's a constant battle. Even though sometimes I feel like I have overcame it, I still deal with it off and on. I mean, it's not as bad as it used to be because I'm in a new place. I'm in a better place. You know, I've really given my life over to God and allow God to really deal with me on that issue and deliver me from depression and mental health. So I'm in a better space now. But it wasn't easy getting to this point. It took a lot of work, man. It took a lot of counseling. It took a lot of, you know, trusting people and wanting to open up to people and not being judged and not feeling like, don't label me, don't put me in that category, don't put me in a box because I'm dealing with something, you know? So I just really like to allow myself to be that open space for people to come talk to me about it because I've been there. I know how it is to be in that place. So I like to be that safe space that people could, you know, whether it be men or whoever the case may be. You know, I deal with a lot of kids. You wouldn't believe how many kids, man, go through depression and mental health. How many kids are out there suffering from bullying and social media? It's a lot, man, going on out there, and it's very it's very challenging because so many kids open up to me. So many kids come to me about dealing with the things that they deal with, and I don't like to brag about it or put myself on this pedestal or whatever, but I've been blessed, man, to be able to save a lot of kids, from taking their own lives. And I've had kids come to me and tell me, yo, I've heard your story. Your story saved my life. I was just thinking about killing myself, the other day, but when I heard your story, man, it gave me hope. It gave me a sense of encouragement. And I thank you so much for sharing. I thank you so much for just motivating me, man. So, I'm blessed, man, to be able to, be in this position that I am, and have overcame so many storms that I've overcame in my life, and I'm able to share and be a testimony for people that are in that dark place.
Okay. And Kevin Jefferies of Happy Hour with Lito, who runs this Black men's group, this wellness group on Thursday nights. God works in mysterious ways. He's actually in the chat watching right now. He's actually watching the show. He says he's in here, and I'm going to just steal from his show when he interviews his guests. On a scale of 1 to 10, Kenyon, what's your mental health for today?
What do you mean, like good or bad? Like good?
One would be at the lowest, 10 would be at its best.
Oh, okay. I mean, right now, I say my mental health is probably I would say probably I'll probably say a 7.
Okay, that's being honest, and it's good to be honest, because we've had some guys on Thursday nights when he asked that question. We've had some 1s, we've had some 2s, we've had some 3s, we've had people that guys have had to talk to somebody so they don't drive their car off the road thinking that they want it. So what I might do is I might have Kenyon, I might have Kevin reach out to you, and then you two can link up. I think you would actually it would be nice to have you coming on one Thursday night and just kind of talk and let the fellas know. If you want to come through every Thursday, it's a nice, safe place. Like I said, it's a real safe environment on Zoom. Nobody can record nothing, so it's just a place to be yourself and just let it out. So I'll make sure, Kevin, I see you're in the chat. Reach out to Kenyon and get him in on a Thursday night. This guy has a great story. And we have a lot of people. There's gonna be some people you'll see in there and be like, okay, I see why this is the way it is, and it's a good little group. So let's get into your social media. Rob Resnick is now in the chat. He's coming on at 7:30. But let's tell people how they can support you, man, and follow you.
Just follow me on all social medias. Just look for Kenyon Glover, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm all over the place. Go to kenyonglover.net is my website, kenyonglover.com. You can reach out to me. I'm easily accessible and easily reachable. If you ever want to talk, discuss mental health, depression, whatever the case may be, hey, I'm all ears, so I'm here.
Yeah, Kevin, I did invite him to the group, but please link up with him and send him that text message and stuff for the group. Kevin is actually in the chat. Actually, we're going to take a quick break. I got to bring Robert in, and then we're going to blow through the news booth so we can get through a lot of this stuff. We're going to be right back with more booth after this. Here we go. This is going to be real quick. All right, it's your boy Sinus One. We're back here in the booth. Let's get into the news booth real quick. My second guest, as you can see, is on here with us now. News booth, don't look up, part 1. As you guys follow me on social media, you saw I had a big-ass possum in my tree on Saturday night. Sunday, in the newspaper, there was a bobcat in the tree in West Bridgewater. So don't look up. Bobcats and trees in Massachusetts. I'm not going to lie. The possum, I almost pulled the 9mm grain out. I'm just saying. Also, in the legal booth, Baltimore has now signed on with a law firm for the bridge collapse that happened. Maresk and Synergy Marine has been named in this potential lawsuit. This is going to be a way for them to get some of this money back to rebuild this bridge that was destroyed. My guy, Square, this is an attorney, he's a lawyer, he's a JAG officer. This legal thing that's coming down. We all know the boat lost power. How can they find this company at fault? We'll just go over this real quick since it's the legal thing.
Yeah, because they're still responsible, right? It's their equipment. Whether there was a history, there was some initial reporting. Remember, we spoke about this. There was some reporting that this particular boat had some previous maintenance problems. Then I heard that maybe that wasn't the case, or that it was so long ago that it wasn't like an ongoing problem. Either way, when you own a shipping company, you're responsible to maintain the equipment, and you're responsible for the equipment, malfunctioning. So whatever happened, intentional, accident, tragedy, it doesn't matter. They're going to be the ones who are responsible to make this right. Now, it doesn't look like it's criminal, but there's a criminal investigation as well, because right now we don't have all the information.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to ask you that real quick. Also, in the entertainment booth, let's get into this real quick. Sue Aitchison has been released from WWE. I predicted that they're heading in a whole different direction. She is the woman who does all the Make-A-Wish stuff for WWE. They let her go. It looks like that they're going to a more adult product or content. Also, Rhea Ripley gave up the belt last night on Raw. She's been injured. If you guys saw Smackdown on Friday, Liv Tyler hit her with a chair. I don't think she was ready for it. Looks like she's got a broken arm or something. She's going to be out for several months, which means they're going to put the championship belt up for that. Also, in the entertainment booth, Godzilla -1 has now locked down a streaming site. Yes, a streaming site. Amazon Prime Video, May 3rd, in Japan, will have Godzilla -1 debuting, which means the U.S. release isn't far behind. R-Squared is still not seen that movie. We will be having a gazebo movie night here at the crib. And look, I am definitely ready to do this. In the sports booth, WNBA draft. Camila Cardoza, number 3. South Carolina going to Chicago Sky. We also had the marathon. Oh, we had Angel Reese going to Chicago Sky, 7th pick. And Caitlin Clark, number 1, going to Indiana Fever. And then here in Boston, we had the Boston Marathon. Thanks to all those runners. Helen Obiri from Kenya. Sissy Lemmer from Ethiopia. Marcel Hug from Switzerland for wheelchair. And Eden Rainbow Cooper, wheelchair. Close to record times, people. One of the things here is that... hey, what's going on, David? One of the things here is that the weather was nice. The weather was beautiful. For these people from Kenya and Ethiopia that come here in low 70-degree weather, this is a cakewalk. This is why they close to just 2 hours to run this marathon. As you see here, Caitlin Clark being picked by Indiana as the number 1, and then Angel Reese with Chicago. Chicago's going to be the team to watch because they got Colleen Cardoza and they got Angel Reese. Indiana Sun will play, Connecticut Sun will play Indiana Fever for their home opener at Mohegan Sun. I can't wait. Those tickets are going to be crazy. But the reason why I got him on here, and it's 7:30, and I really want to get into this conversation because there's a lot of dangerous stuff going on here. A lot of crazy narrative stuff. I lost Kenyon. Kenyon, if you want to come back in, you're welcome to come back in. A lot of crazy stuff. All right. Last week I ran sent out a drone strike, about 100 drones to Israel. And, right away, everybody has a narrative. Everybody wants to attach to it. Even news reporters like a Tommy Lahren, who I can't stand, they put out these dangerous things. People talking about this is World War III, blame Joe Biden, things of that sort. It drives me up a wall. And one of the reasons why it drives me up a wall, because it's a dangerous narrative, people. And people seem to forget, they go out there and they'll post. I see a lot of MAGA nitwits posting, well, we didn't have these problems under Trump. Well, we did. The only thing is that the first 2 years of Trump, we were all under COVID in the entire world. That first year and second year of COVID, the entire world was locked down. So we didn't have those problems. As soon as we came out of COVID, we started having problems under Trump. We had Russia invade a place in, I believe it was Iceland, right out the gate. President Trump himself ordered what we talked about in this show, an assassination. Let's put quotes around it, because Soleimani was a bad guy. Squared said this was a bad guy who needed to be got, but there is a line of diplomacy and things you're supposed to do when doing this. The drone strike was issued. Soleimani was killed. Yet he was still an Iranian general. Let's talk about that. Let's kind of rewind and remind people why this was an issue when Trump did this, when they did that drone strike on Soleimani, who was an Iranian general.
Yeah, so when the United States killed General Soleimani, he was in Baghdad. He had been meeting with some Iraqi government officials, some militia groups, and that's what he did for a living, right? He was one of the leaders of the Quds Force, which is not part of Iran's regular military. It's one of their militia groups. It's one of their proxies. It's it's not a proxy. It's Iranian, but it's basically a terror group. They're the ones who do their bad work around the world. And so Soleimani, as a terrorist leader, was a target. And people debated, people criticized the United States decision under the Trump administration to take him out, not so much because of who he was, although he was a very popular and powerful figure in Iran. So as a choice of target, obviously that's part of the analysis, and people could question that. But also it was doing it in another country's sovereign territory, because we didn't have Iraq's permission to do it. And so they were mad that we did something without their permission on their sovereign territory. That was the bigger issue, quite frankly, than the targeting. But that was obviously back under the Trump administration. More recently, people may remember that Israel did something similar. They took out some other Quds Force leaders in Syria. Same idea. They were outside the Syrian consul. It was a precision guided strike. It took out just them. It didn't cause a lot of damage around the area, and it was successful. It took out 7 Quds leaders. And so, yes, okay, the United States took out 1, Israel took out 7, but at the end of the day, the targeting decision, legally speaking and factually speaking, is very similar. General Soleimani, was chosen maybe because of his popularity and power and his position, and Israel had an opportunity. And when these by the way, all these opportunities come about with updating to the second intelligence. It's like, it's not something that is planned. These are targets of opportunity. When intelligence comes in, hey, we've got some leaders of a terrorist group or an enemy force or whatever the group may be that we're looking at, and a window opens, and it's a very short window. And so the Pentagon has to quickly do some analysis. They have to make a recommendation to the administration. The administration has to do its job and then give the green light or the red light to go. And so these are not often the products of lengthy preparation or analysis. These are when we have to really trust our experts who can do some quick analysis of a situation and give good advice, to the president, to the senior leaders, the National Security Council and what have you. So anyway, that's what Israel did. And Iran said that they were going to retaliate. Well, of course they're going to, right? Iran is in a state of war with Israel, obviously, certainly since 1979 when the Ayatollah took over. And they've been fighting a proxy battle, for a long time. Obviously, Israel's very concerned about Iranian nuclear weapons development and everything else. And so it's not like they're, friendly neighbors. And so, Israel did a cost-benefit analysis to take out the 7. Iran did their own analysis in choosing how to retaliate back. And what they did on Saturday night was to to launch hundreds of drones, missiles, including ballistic missiles. They launched them from Iranian territory, their own country. They launched them out of Iraqi territory because Iran has a significant presence in Iraq. I'll leave it at that. And they fired missiles from there. They fired them from Syria because Iran has significant presence in Syria. And they fired them from Yemen was the other place because, Iran is significantly involved in the Yemeni civil war against the other side of the forces that are backed by Saudi and other, more friendly Western Arab nations. So because of the volume of missiles and the 4 different locations that they were coming from, Israel's defensive systems were not likely to be able to shoot down successfully. Right now, the fact was it was over 99% of the missiles were shot down before they could hit their targets, which is phenomenal. That's amazing. That's never been done before, in my understanding. But that would not have been possible because of the number that would have overwhelmed their system, as well as from all the different locations. And so the United States, the United Kingdom, and some other nations, some nations were simply cooperative. They allowed Israel and its allies in this operation anyway to use its airspace. Other nations actually provided air defense support. And so this was a great example of the modern era in the Middle East where Iran is the big enemy, not Israel, right? It used to be from 1948 on that, every single Arab nation until Egypt made peace in 1979, but at 77, excuse me. But every Arab nation was in a state of war with Israel, and you had flare-ups in various years. Every few years there was another war that would take place. Well, then Egypt made peace, and that kind of changed the landscape a little bit. And then Jordan made peace, and then other nations did. And then we had the Abraham Accords under the Trump administration, which was a big step forward. They need to be developed further, but that was a good step forward. And what you have is a recognition in the Middle East among many Arab nations is that Iran is the biggest enemy, not having the state of Israel there. It's like, Israel doesn't bother them, right? And so Iran became the problem. And so when this opportunity arose, what you saw was the new Middle East flavor, right? And so you saw countries like Jordan and others, the Emirates, that in some way, shape, or form assisted in Israel defending itself against these hundreds and hundreds of missiles and drones that were launched by Iran. And so because of that cooperation, thankfully, over 99% were destroyed. So that was a big deal. Now, obviously, Israel's threatening to retaliate. And so that's where the current crisis is. Will they use restraint? Will they do something more provocative? The last report was that within the Israeli administration, there were fiery and heated debates over what to do, which means that tells you that there's been a range of proposals. They haven't decided yet, and there's no rush. They'll do it at a time and place of their choosing, just like the United States always says. So there's a debate within the Israeli administration. There are obviously going to be people looking to do something very minimal, people looking to do something very big, and we'll see what they decide to do. But I'll stop there right now because I think you have some other questions.
Because before I get into Biden speaking with the Israeli Prime Minister, let's go back to this drone strike, because there is this defense system out there that a lot of people don't know about, that in the military overseas has been getting a lot of praise. Let's talk about this Iron Sky defense that certain countries have now picked up and has been very good. This Iron Sky defense has, if you've been watching some of these drone strikes or missile strike attacks, I believe the Ukraine in some areas was using this Iron Sky defense. Can you kind of just talk people about how this Iron Sky defense works and why it's so successful?
Yeah, it's two different things. What Israel has is called the Iron Dome, and it is basically it's an air defense system that, because it's a relatively small nation, they basically can situate anti-ballistic missile systems, kind of like what the United States was looking at. Remember Star Wars in the 1980s under the Reagan administration, the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, which people were calling Star Wars. It's similar to that in technology. It's obviously a lot more modern. It was built later, but it had its roots in that same technology. It started as a joint project with the United States and Israel. in developing some, defensive capabilities. It is strictly a defensive capability. It is not offensive. It can't attack anybody. It can't harm anybody. It can only knock out incoming missiles. That's the only thing this does. It exists in 3 different stages based on the distance. So you've got lower altitude, closer in, which is the Iron Dome. Then you've got the next layer, which is hundreds of miles further and higher into the atmosphere. And then you've got the largest range after that. So it's basically 3 different systems that works together. And so basically when defense systems, radar and what have you, tracks incoming targets, incoming missiles of different kinds, it indicates what the type of incoming weaponry is, whether it's a ballistic missile, a cruise missile, a drone, something else. And then it responds by launching the right countermeasure, right? It's not just one type of missile, it's multiple kinds of missiles that would be launched based on its own capability to do an intercept because it's strictly defensive. And so the closest thing to say, and what other countries are looking at, is more of the American air defense system. What we use is the Patriot missiles. And the Patriot missiles, which are, people will remember from the Gulf War and the Iraq War and otherwise, when Iraq was launching Scud missiles into Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Jordan and Israel and what have you, the United States was using the Patriot batteries. I used to actually, one of my military assignments was at Fort Bliss when it was the Air Defense Artillery Center, and that's where they were developing and testing the Patriot. I used to get to go out and watch the test fires of the Patriot missiles and watch it intercept, and it was pretty impressive. I'm not familiar with the technology. I couldn't talk about it if I wanted to, but it was impressive to watch. That's all I could do was watch them push the button and see it go. So, and that was back in the 1990s. It's only gotten better. We've got more advanced iterations of this thing. So that's what the United States uses when we go to provide air defense support to our friends. And so when we talk about the United States forces in the Middle East, that's in large part what they are. We have air defense forces as well as special forces in places like Syria, Jordan, Iraq, and other locations, basically for the fight against ISIS, but also to defend against terrorism from non-ISIS, elements, Iran proxies, for example. So that's kind of what the United States presence is.
Wow, because I've been hearing a lot about this in the news. This Iron Dome. It's like the 3rd time now that I've heard it. Not just in this attack, but in previous attacks in other countries, they've used this. And everybody who's dealt with it speaks very high of it. From military, civilians. Some civilians are actually posting on their social media when this thing's in action. It is very impressive, and it's something to watch and keep your eye on. Like you said, they've kind of progressed. You said they've kind of progressed this from the 90s to where it is now.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Look, the Iron Dome is incredibly impressive as a system, but we have to acknowledge something. Israel would not have been successful in defending itself from all of these missiles Saturday if it was not for the United States, who the United States Navy and shipbound and air-to-air missiles were being launched to knock down a lot of the missiles. And so from the United States, United Kingdom, and others knocking down hundreds of missiles themselves, the Iron Dome was able to do it, because what Iran's strategy was, by launching hundreds of missiles at the same time from different directions and different speeds and altitudes, it would have overwhelmed the Iron Dome. It would not have been able to locate and successfully intercept hundreds of missiles at the same time. You're talking about a 12-minute period that Iran was trying to make, sort of timing it to get in. I think it was wound up being more than 12 minutes, but they were trying to synchronize it to be about a 12-minute or so thing. Can you imagine a missile defense system trying to be that accurate with hundreds of missiles in that short a time? And so they would not have been able to do that. So the United States, the United Kingdom, and other countries were essential in using their own shipboard and air-to-air weapons to knock down a lot of the missiles too. And that's what allies do, right? This is why alliances are so important. This is why we need NATO. This is why we need our defense alliance in Asia. This is why we have to work with our partners in the Middle East. Nobody can do it alone because of technology. The old-fashioned war where you've got thousands of people on a field and they charge at each other, that doesn't happen anymore, right? This is the type of warfare we have in the modern era. And so, the United States obviously has, we're a superpower. We have offensive and defensive weapons that we can defend ourselves and we can handle our enemies. But so does China and Russia and other countries. Well, Iran is a fairly large military. It's just not a very capable one. And they've been investing in this technology. They obtained technology. They developed some of their own. And this is what they can do, right? This is what a rogue nation can do in a region like the Middle East, where you have Iran, who right now chooses to fight through its proxies, trying to say, "Oh, we didn't do it; it was Hezbollah," But that's not always accurate. It's Iran. They're the ones funding it, supplying it, directing it. It's Iran. And so this is why countries need to band together. And this is why the modern Middle East is focused more on Iran than an Arab-Israeli history, right? I'm not saying they're all great friends, but they're cooperating together in many ways on commerce, on military defense, on medical issues. There's a lot of coordination going on. And this is why. This is how you stop an Iran from dominating the region. And hopefully the success of this will bring more countries in the Middle East together, and we could move forward on the next phase of whatever it's going to be. The Abraham Accords Part 2, Camp David Part 2, whatever it's going to be. This should be an impetus to go forward, I hope.
Hello, David. What's going on? Dave Haggerty, Christopher Gagnon. What's going on? And one of the other things I got to talk about and stress about, under the radar, the Ukraine joined NATO. I was hearing last week Switzerland had joined. What is the importance of these countries getting into NATO right now?
No, that's Switzerland is not in NATO, and Ukraine is not in NATO.
What did they just join this week?
Ukraine is trying to join the European Union. And they've been inching forward. That's a multi-phase thing, because you have to build your democracy, you have to build your economy, you have to qualify, and so they're moving up the ladder in what they're required to do before they can be considered for membership. So right now they have a very comfortable relationship with the European Union, and Europe is sending them a lot of weapons, just like the United States are. They're providing critical support to Ukraine, so we're all doing that together.
So they're taking all the steps needed to move up that independence ladder.
And we'll have to see what happens. It takes a few elections to see if democracy holds, right? Zelensky was elected by popular vote. That was a successful election. But in some leaders, just 2 leaders before him was a Russian puppet. So we have to see, do they maintain free and fair elections, as a democracy before they can be eligible for full-fledged membership into the European Union. And, I don't know that they'll ever be in NATO, because that would be provocative to Russia. But, the way Russia's behaving, we don't care about that as much anymore. So who knows what the future for Ukraine will be. But first and foremost, the people have to defend themselves and defend their country. And then they have to make sure that their democracy flourishes. I think what you were thinking, not Switzerland, but Sweden finally joined
Sweden,
NATO.
yes.
Because you may remember within the last couple of years, Finland and Sweden both applied to join NATO, and Turkey was threatening to block them because, Turkey is cooperating very much with Russia these days, and Russia didn't want Sweden and Finland in NATO. But obviously there must have been some kind of a sweetheart weapons deal for Turkey that Erdogan decided to not veto Swedish and Finnish entry. And so Finland has been in for a bit longer. Sweden, just within the last couple of months, was officially voted in when Turkey and Hungary both dropped their opposition. Surprise, surprise, you have Viktor Orban in Hungary and Erdogan in Turkey, both incredibly close to Putin, as the holdouts. So thankfully NATO bought them off, and Sweden is in. For anybody who may not know, Sweden has cooperated with NATO in joint exercises for many years. We're very familiar, NATO and Sweden, with each other's weapon systems, tactics, and everything else. But having them as a full-fledged member of NATO is one of the most significant things of the 21st century. You will see dividends from Sweden and Finland being in NATO. I mean, positive dividends for the United States and for Europe. Number one, this will alleviate some of the pressure off the United States, because Sweden and Finland are both significant countries with significant militaries and resources. So having them in NATO will help countries like Germany, who are bearing a lot of the load internally within Europe, and of course, tactically and strategically. These are highly capable militaries, tactically and proficiency. They're amazing, and this is going. You're gonna see, I think, a positive difference from our perspective. Russia, if you're Putin or his successors at some point, they better watch themselves, because NATO is a defensive alliance. But if Russia thinks it's going to continue to expand, that's exactly why NATO exists. And I don't think China's going to come to their rescue.
And I remember, you correct me on that. It is Sweden. I remember after Biden did their address, not this one, but no, it was this one. Sweden went into some type of special forces type training, and everybody was like, "Oh, what is this all?" And you had said on the show, this is one of these things that they just wanted to show that that they're ready, that they're capable. But now there are some things that they're going to have to add if they're going to move up to this level. And spoke about this on the show. We've got about 10 minutes left, so let's break down the two presidential responses. Now, a lot of people, I'm not a fan of these people who say this guy's not. I don't take the title away from President Trump because he was a president. As much as I dislike his things that he does and says, he was still a president. Let's get into his comments over the weekend that a lot of people don't understand why they were bad. This whole incident happened, and before Biden could assess the situation, before Biden could make his comments on the situation, President Trump comes out and makes these outlandish threats and comments because he needed to take time away from his court case, and he needed to call out Iraq and Iran in this whole thing, and he actually violated what we call is the Logan Act. And a lot of people I saw on social media, from certain reporters, from certain politicians, they were pissed. They said this is overstepping his boundaries as a past president. It's stepping on President Biden. I'm gonna let Rob explain this Logan Act and why this was such a big deal over the weekend, and why so many people were outspoken.
The Logan Act has been around for a long time, and it basically is a recognition, legally and otherwise, that we have one government in the United States. We don't have a shadow government. We don't have multiple governments. There's one federal government which is in charge of foreign policy and defense policy and what have you. And so the United States speaks through the administration, and only through the administration, when it comes to our official national security and foreign policy decision making. And so when you have a situation like this could easily be, it could be an issue for the campaign if President Trump, former President Trump, wants to run to be president on, a different military vision and different foreign policy vision. Then these issues will come up during debates and during their campaign events. But when it comes to responding to something like this, only the administration is supposed to be doing that, because we have to speak with one voice. And so every administration, every presidential administration has coordinated. It's usually done quietly, but it's the leaders of the House and Senate, both parties. So you have the majority and minority leader of the Senate, you have the Speaker, and the majority and minority leader of the House are always being briefed by the administration, by the National Security Council, on our ongoing threats, our threat assessments, our priorities. And so when something like this happens, as soon as it's possible, it may be in advance, it may be right after it happens, it depends how much time there is. They will be fully briefed on this, because that's how we maintain the propriety of the Logan Act, that we give both parties, both the minority and majority in both houses of Congress, the information and the ability to weigh in, to discuss these issues with the president and the National Security Council. And so, that's done quietly because it's supposed to be completely non-political. It may be one of the few areas where we still are. You might remember that President Trump tried to stop doing that when he was in office, because he didn't understand any of this. He doesn't understand anything about defense policy, foreign policy, national security. He's just ill-equipped for it. He may know something about the economy, although we'll see. But he doesn't know very much about anything else. And that's by his own choice, because during 4 years in office, you hear the people in his administration, not critics, the people that were in his administration, the people that were in the White House briefing him every day, are the ones who have said publicly in books, in interviews, and whatever, that he refused to educate himself on any of this stuff. So that was his choice. Now, maybe he's going to change, but I doubt it, right? He just doesn't seem interested or capable of learning now, if he didn't do it in 2017. So that's the problem with the comments that he made. Now, for those people that have
so some of these MAGA people, once again, they throw up the first, the freedom of speech. that's not covered when you do stuff like that, right?
Yeah, the freedom of speech does not mean you can say 100% of what you want to say anytime, place, and manner you want to do it. There are restrictions on freedom of speech. You can't slander somebody. You can't threaten somebody. You can't commit fraud. There's a lot of restrictions on freedom of speech. So, the Logan Act is not really a restriction on freedom of speech. It's simply about timing, right? You can't speak for the United States. You can't respond on behalf of the United States if you are not the administration. And so that's the issue with that. President Trump, as a candidate for office, is allowed to talk about these issues as campaign issues. In fact, I think everybody would expect that there'll be questions about national security during the campaign. There always are. And, and President Biden will talk about his view of world policy and defense and everything. And so will Trump. And so the voters will have something to think about. But in the immediate response to something like this, it's inappropriate. It's a violation of the Logan Act, and it's a violation of hundreds of years of our policy and custom in the United States government. The other thing I was going to say, though, is for people that are trying to throw this on President Biden, people need to remember something. Just like when President Trump ordered the assassination of General Soleimani, he did that by himself. That was not in coordination with our allies. That was a United States decision, right? Mm-hmm. And Israel, when they decided to target the 7 Iranian Quds leaders in Syria, did that themselves. They did not coordinate that with the United States or anybody else. At least there's no, we know they didn't coordinate with the United States. There's no evidence they coordinated with anybody. That's not the way that they did that. In fact, there's usually not time to do that for anybody. That's why the United States doesn't do it either. And so the issue is that President Biden didn't know about Israel targeting those 7 until it happened. And so for people who want to say that this dust up between Israel and Iran is somehow related to the Biden administration, that's just ridiculous, because there is no connection to it. People could talk about, issues with policy towards Iran. I will say that I did not support the Iran deal that President Obama signed. I thought that it was ineffective and it wasn't comprehensive, that if you had to do it, it needed to be comprehensive with other things, or it had to be much more effective than it was. President Trump came into office and immediately took us out of that. But the issue was then Iran began, not recreating, they never did away with it. They just, started going with their nuclear weapons production, that they've been doing since then. So, I'm not really sure what you could put on President Biden. I'm not saying every one of his policies is perfect. That's not my position right now. I think they're far better than what Trump's would be and were. But nevertheless, this particular issue is not something that President Biden had anything to do with. But I will say this. I thought the way that the United States and other allies like the United Kingdom, Jordan, and others decided to, sort of enact a defensive pact there and help shoot down these missiles. I thought that was great. I can't imagine anybody opposing that. If somebody wants to oppose that, sure, I guess you have that. There's where your freedom of speech is. You want to criticize that decision, you can. It was an incredible success. It was diplomacy at work. It's going to bring positive in the future, future developments in relations in that region. So, if people want to criticize the United States' decision to do that, what the United States did was prevent an all-out war. Because if those missiles struck Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and Haifa and other, targets within Israel, there would be an all-out Israel-Iran war, right? Israel could not accept that. And so what we did was prevent that from happening. And that's why the United States is trying to make sure that the Israeli leadership right now has a limited retaliation, right? So that we do. So the United States is playing this right. This is complex stuff. This is 3-dimensional chess.
Right.
This isn't simple. This isn't 2 + 2. This is complex calculus that I could never take and pass.
If you guys watched the stuff over the weekend, Biden did speak with the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu. He spoke with him, and when they were done, he had called off the first retaliatory strike on Iran after his call with Biden. New York Times has reported that this did go down. They actually confirmed that this happened. So Biden has kind of brought some time. The strike is coming. There's going to be a retaliatory strike. The question is where, when, and how. In my opinion, I could kind of see how this call went down. There was no loss of life. The attack was kind of a failure. pick and choose your target wisely. I think that's kind of what Biden's going to say. Would that be kind of what to say in the layman's term? There was, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, we talked about this. I know somebody had said something one time. They don't understand how this works. There was some targets that Biden a while back allowed to be hit. And, you know, there are some things here where things happen, and to keep the peace, you come to a certain agreement. And as much as people don't want to believe things that happen in movies and TV shows, sometimes these things are diplomacy, and we've had some countries or some situations you've had to give up some military positions, correct? As retaliatory strikes?
Yeah.
Oil fields, things of that sort. It happens, people. It does happen. And it's not without, hours of mediations and talks, I would say, between...
Oh, sure. That's what I'm saying. It's complicated stuff. Three-dimensional chess.
It's crazy. And, you know, we're at 802, but again, how do you come up with in my position is, how do you come up with a target that you say, okay, you guys can have this for what we... It's, oh, man, I wouldn't want to be in that person's shoes, to be honest. Crazy stuff. Hey, everybody, 802, it's been great stuff. Rob, tell them how they can check you out. You're on the first Tuesday of every month here, but you guys are doing a lot of stuff. You've been busy over at the Quarter. Dropped 2
Yeah,
pieces.
I try to post. It comes in spurts, but I try to post on the Quarter. So if you're on Facebook, check out the Quarter.
Yeah, good stuff. And then we got to mention, let's get into my guys here who sponsor and help out the show. These are the beanies, all sold out. I know it's a tease seeing these beanies. We've got a lot of events coming up pretty soon. I want to make sure you guys check out the shows that I produce: Drafting the Circuits, Oscar Mike Radio, which is on Thursday nights, Happy Hour with Lito. He'll be back. Friday night, he's doing the show, Fubar Studios and Homeland Heroes Podcast. Also, Platinum City Gaming, located at 294 Winthrop Street in Taunton, 02780. Also, the 400-mile motorcycle challenge. I actually took Vengeance out Sunday. Finally, we had some sun in April. It's been rainy. It's been miserable. Let's see what happens. April 2nd to April 20th, people. Prom swap. If you have any type of formal wear that you can donate.
I gotta bounce. I'll let you do your wrap up. I gotta bounce, but thanks. This is fun as always.
No problem. Thank you again.
I'll see you on first Tuesday.
All right. That was Rob R Squared for coming on with us. I got to thank him for hanging out with us. Good stuff. But Be the Difference to Donate Giveathon, Fubar Studios. Make sure to check that out. Fubar Studios is on Wednesday nights. Please, please, please make sure to check it out. Also, Remy TV 2024 Influencer Awards go down May 18th. My artist, Vianna Marie, is nominated for Best Female Hip Hop Artist. And then the Boston Annual Wounded Vet Run, Sunday, May 19th. That takes place on, I think it's New Hampshire. Or no, Suffolk Downs, East Boston. So check that out. Also, May 25th, Vampires versus Zombies. Are you ready? I'm confused, but I won't be in town, or else I'd have to choose. I think I would be Team Vampire. Also, ride the Bat buses for free, December 1st to May 31st. The clock is ticking. It's almost done. No excuses, people. Free Bat bus around the city. Also, Death, Purpose, and Freedom fundraiser takes place June 5th. The gentleman, the veteran who's putting this event on, is actually coming on the show the Tuesday before. And then I'm supposed to be DJing this event June 22nd at DW Field Park. It's the 3K Heal-a-thon, Love Life Now Foundation. And then on June 22nd, Ryan's Ride takes place in New Hampshire. That one kickstands up at 11 a.m., $25 per person. It is the 6th or 10th year on that one, 10th annual ride. So want to make sure to take that ride if you're in the area on that day or on that time. And that is it, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the show, helping out with me, hanging out with me. It's good stuff. Another great show. But again, I got to thank you all for tuning in. Thank all my guests. Kenyon Glover. Man, Rob Resnick. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. SpongeBob, do me a favor. Do me a favor and take us home.
Well, see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for listening to The Booth on Hoobazoo and HatcherRadio.com. Please follow the Facebook page and subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. The Booth is a Sinister One production hosted by Sinister One.
I've got to start hanging out with friends that are a little more intelligent and understand politics and stuff. It's just that I'm up on this level up here, and all my friends are down here. Me, nah. You guys, nah. Maybe a little more down in here. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
I smoke, I drink, I do my thing. These bitches hating, so you know I got to make it plain. Don't do cocaine with your chick, my main. We stick together, true forever, yeah, you know we bang. I miss those days, which was easy. If only I made it, keep this shit on repeat. Now that I done upgraded, I've been upstairs. And I got a hit now for these weak assholes who think I ain't slaying. Try me, and I'll probably end up laughing cause I never back down. I'm that chick with a clean ass whip. I don't need that shit, it's like I'm my own now. I get hurt, I get tired of fussing, fighting, guess I gotta crack down. Don't mess with me cause on everything I'ma have to bring the whole city out.
WHOOBAZOO, that's Hoobazoo.com.
Enter website, enter website, enter website, enter website.